RetroDaze.
From controversy over its perceived violence to an all-star cast, we're going to look at 5 of the most interesting aspects of Pac-Man, the groundbreaking series, the first cartoon based on a video game. We briefly included the cartoon in a previous video celebrating Pac-Man's influence on the culture of the 1980s. But as you're about to find out, the animated series was much more than just a 13-month-long footnote in Pac-Man's rich history.
But wait, there's more!
Have a nice day at work, Packy. Don't chomp too many ghost monsters.
For 2 glorious television seasons, it was the perfect marriage. Our beloved Saturday morning cartoons tying the knot with a pellet-munching cultural sensation. Their union gave birth to the highest-rated Saturday morning cartoon of 1982, not to mention, an actual baby. Based on Namco's video game franchise of the same name, Pac-Man aired on ABC from September of 1982 to November of 1983. 44 episodes, including 2 holiday specials produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions. More than 20 million kids and adults tuned in every week at the height of its success.
And there's even a Saturday morning Pac-Man cartoon on TV. Now you know why the kids want quarters on Saturday afternoons.
It stars Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man, Pac-Baby, and the family pets, Chomp Chomp and Sourpuss, among other friends and extended family we meet along the way. They are the guardians of Pac-Land, protectors of the power pellets in the power pellet forest. The main antagonist is Mesmeron, who aims to steal the power pellets and take over Pac-Land, with the assistance of his hostile ghost gang, Blinky, Inky, Pinky, Clyde, and Sue, which leads us to the first fact on our list.
Number 5.
Good! Now we can chomp both of yous.
Controversy. When Pac-Man first aired in September of 1982, the National Coalition on Television Violence, or NCTV, was in the midst of a year-long campaign to further reduce the instances of violence in Saturday morning cartoons, going as far as to pressure the sponsors of those shows too, like McDonald's, General Mills, Mattel, and Kellogg's. The aggressive chomping in the series quickly put Pac-Man on the NCTV's radar. It all seemed harmless to me back in the day, although watching Pacula go to town on this car full of Pac people is kinda horrifying now. The chomping scenes were eventually limited and toned down in later episodes. This anti-violence campaign ran parallel to efforts pushing back against TV shows that were designed to sell toys, like He-Man did. Pac-Man was often lumped into that conversation as well.
Number 4.
These are ghosts, right? Or are they monsters? There was some internal debate during production over what to call these enemies. Instead of picking one, producers combined the 2, which is why they're known in the show as ghost monsters. Now, there's no debate in my mind, they're just ghosts, but what do I know? Did you ever hear them referred to as monsters before the cartoon came out? Let us know in the comments.
Number 3.
Hey, those Pac Burgers ready, Pepper? I'm starved.
Speaking of names, the cartoon would give us Ms. Pac-Man's first name. As you learned in our previous Pac video, 2 MIT students created an unauthorized version of Pac-Man called Crazy Otto, which included a female counterpart named Anna. The game was later redesigned with Namco's guidance to become Ms. Pac-Man, and the name Anna was dropped. When the animated series arrived the next year, she was given the name Pepper because, well, alliteration, right? Ms. Pepper Pac-Man rolls off the tongue. Fun fact, during the production of her arcade game, she was originally called Miss Pac-Man, M-I-S-S, as in not married, which wouldn't play very well with the cutscene that shows her and Pac-Man having a baby. So to avoid the implication she had the child out of wedlock, she was given the Ms. title instead.
Number 2.
Let's get him!
The cast of voice actors is just ridiculous. We could do an entire episode on this aspect of the show alone. Let's start with my favorite of the bunch.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
Peter Cullen, best known as Optimus Prime, the Voltron narrator, Kit's nemesis Carr, Winnie the Pooh's Eeyore, Gunner from Dino Riders, among so many others. He gave his vocal talents to Sourpuss. while the other pet, Chomp Chomp, was voiced by Frank Welker. You know, Curious George, Fred and Scooby-Doo, Garfield, Crackle of Snap, Crackle, Pop commercial fame, the monkey in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Stripe from Gremlins, and of course, Megatron.
Leave nothing for repairs.
I managed to resist Psycho Mantis's mind probe.
Alan Lurie, who went on to voice Arms Tech President Kenneth Baker in Konami's Metal Gear Solid, among 2 other games in that series, gave life to Mesmeron.
Shut up and listen. I've learned that Pac-Man is on a special mission.
Inside, you will learn how Biff Tannen became one of the richest and most powerful men in America.
Remember the narrator of the Biff Tannen Museum in Back to the Future 2? That would be Neil Ross, who voiced the ghost monster Clyde.
Probably saw his shadow and took off for the hills.
As well as Buzzer in G.I. Joe. Speaking of G.I. Joe, Chuck McCann, the guy who gave us Leatherneck and The Thing in Fantastic Four, he voiced Blinky.
That's exactly what I mean.
Sue Silo appropriately voiced Sue, the ghost monster. You can also hear her as various characters in Inhumanoids and as the White Queen in Pride of the X-Men.
We weren't listening to no broadcast.
Oh, and Inky, he was just, you know, Barry Gordon, also known as Donatello in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Sorry, we'll have to take a rain check on that.
I told you this was wild.
Or I will chomp everybody in Pac-Land.
Pacula was voiced by Lenny Weinrib, who also did Hunk in Voltron. The woman behind Pac Baby, that was Russi Taylor, the voice of Minnie Mouse from 1986 to 2019. Yes, Disney's official Minnie Mouse. Not to mention The Simpsons' Martin Prince and Gonzo in The Muppet Babies, among so many others.
Don't count your chickens before they're chumped.
And last but not least, Pac-Man. That distinction goes to Marty Ingalls, who never wanted the role but accidentally landed it anyway. Now, the stories vary, so here's a very condensed version. A voice actor in a previous life, Ingalls was an agent at the time, making calls trying to land his client a role. But Hanna-Barbera was so impressed with Ingalls' voice, they eventually persuaded him to take on the role of Pac-Man.
Number 1.
Inspiration. The show would influence future Pac-Man games, art, and even other TV networks to get in on the arcade action.
Way to go, Hubert! You got another strike!
Having been such a big hit on ABC, their rival CBS launched a little TV show called Saturday Supercade.
Well, Saturday Supercade, gather round, we'll get your video friends together.
Which featured short segments starring a ton of our favorite video game characters. Follow-up Namco games like Pac-Land and Pac-Man 2: The New Adventures drew motivation from the animated series, while the box art for Pac-Man on the Nintendo Entertainment System featured cartoon-inspired artwork. Did you watch Pac-Man on Saturday morning, maybe with some Pac-Man cereal? What do you remember most about this series? What did you enjoy? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this Pac-filled video, be so kind as to chomp that like button and subscribe to RetroDaze. I'd also like to invite you to check out my 80s and 90s channel. It's called Nostalgic. Got a link for you in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon to celebrate more of yesteryear.
Clicky clacky.